Alright, so look, I really did not want to make this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and get more in depth into it on YouTube. So, like this. Anyone who watches like boxing or UFC, well, boxing is like fixed anyway, but UFC, for a matter of fact, if it's if you don't really consider it being fixed, because I think some fights be fixed. And some of them be like straight robbery because like the fucking judges be acting like they got dementia or something when it comes to like certain fighters because they don't want them to lose their losing. They don't want them to lose their winning streak. So there's a reason why certain fighters low key don't be like they don't get defeated. They don't lose. They may retire with an undefeated streak, or they may go a really, really long time before getting their first loss. Take into account Shavkat Rakhmonov. He looks like a freaking monk. Jerry Bahashka is also another one, but he kind of lost his way, and I'm guessing he just isn't as good as everyone thought he was. But he probably lost his mojo. Alex Pereira is one. And a notable mention is Habib Nurmagomedov. He is what you would consider a really, really stern and stoic individual. Really extremely stoic and just centered. I'm pretty sure every man I just mentioned that's fighting in the UFC, whether it be Habib Nurmagomedov, Hamzat Chimaev, Alex Pereira, Yuri Bahashka, hell, even probably John Jones. These guys most likely practice semen retention on the regular. They're probably extremely spiritual. Yes, I want to say Khabib most likely is spiritual. I don't want to challenge and say that his beliefs is nothing but a front, but I feel like deep down behind closed doors, he probably studies a lot of Hinduism and Buddhism, and he probably knows and understands that holding semen is a superpower to men, no matter the race. It will make you extremely powerful when you withstand from having sex. John Jones most likely is another guy too that practices that. That's why he's so extremely good. But he gets challenged in certain fights because the fight with him and Dominic Reyes was extremely controversial. But John Jones isn't as disciplined. He's not. I don't think he's as centered as a man as Habib is or Georges St. Pierre, because the accusations against him that he rages out, probably does cocaine, probably does like PEDs and all that. He lacks discipline. He has the power, he has the fighting prowess and skill and tenacity, but he lacked discipline. He had it at first when he first started doing MMA and when he first got into the UFC, but he let that shit go to his head. Same thing with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor probably laid around and probably released a lot of, fluids after he reached superstardom. And that's what caused him to lose a lot of his fights. Because whether or not when he fought Habib back in 2018, that was a damn kick-ass fight. I'm pretty sure if Conor McGregor and Habib Nurmagomedov fought again, Conor probably would have won. Or it had been a really, really close decision loss. But after the Habib fight and after he kind of like showed off and beat Donald Cerrone in welterweight, you notice that he's not as good as he used to be. And I'm pretty sure something just made is just he's not as powerful. He's not as much of a fight. He's not as good of a fighter as he used to be. And these names I just mentioned, there's plenty of other names in the UFC that have either retired or they're fighting now with a really, really good record. Whether they are undefeated or they may have lost only a couple of fights. I'm pretty sure these are men that practice semen retention religiously. They have to be sort of spiritual, at least to an extent, to know that to be a good fighter, you must conquer your shadow and your ego from within. To be a good fighter, you have to stay balanced. You have to have a peace of mind. You have to reach a state of nirvana mentally and emotionally. You have to have extreme emotional intelligence, extreme fight IQ, which means you have to basically have the Sharingan, which means you do have to be somewhat spiritual to an extent to be a good fighter. To be an admirable, amazing fighter, you have to have a certain level of consciousness. At least I see it that way. Doesn't matter what race you are.